Greetings from God's country at the gateway to the Ozarks in beautiful Fairfield Bay, Arkansas. This is the Fairfield Bay Gadfly coming to you from the Flytrap Studio with the Fairfield Bay Gadfly Presents. Well, what do y'all think about this weather in Arkansas? If you don't like it today, come back tomorrow. It might change, although I don't think so, although Mrs. Gadfly keeps talking about it's supposed to rain tonight. Well, I remember when The Who sang a song on the Quadrophenia album, and they said in the song, "Only love can make it rain." While a few years earlier than that, the Beatles told us, "All you need is love." Well, I think it's time for the Beatles and The Who to get together with all that love and get us some rain, because that 5/100ths of 1 inch that we received early this morning, really, it helps some, but not as much as that we need. Now, today in history. On July 17th, 1988, the highest temperature ever recorded in San Francisco, California, came in at 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, wait a minute. That's 1988. 35 years ago, hey, weren't the scientists telling us about global cooling at that point? I think they were. I mean, that goes back to probably even the 70s. So they kind of got confused whether it's global cooling or global warming, and to keep everybody on the same track, they changed the name to climate change, which of course is music to the ears of liberals who see it as another way to tax everyone. And unfortunately, that's the case. Now, moving on to current events, and here is probably the biggest one in the last week, and that is the now 9.1% inflation rate in the U.S. That's the highest since 1981, 41 years ago. You know, I don't know where this falls into the Build Back Better program. Yeah, I kind of agree with you guys, because this ain't building back better. My 401k really liked the Trump years a lot better than I'm liking these Biden years. It's killing a lot of 401ks, annuities, savings account, you name it, and it's messing it up. Now, internationally, Ukraine. Russia has launched increasing attacks against civilian targets. That's pretty much falling in the area of genocide, I believe. And what is it going to take for the rest of the world to take significant actions against Vlad the Impaler Putin? This has been going on for several months now. This is an invasion of a sovereign nation by another nation, i.e. Russia invaded Ukraine. Ukraine is a sovereign nation and should be able to protect itself from any enemies, domestic or foreign, kind of like what we do here. But they aren't getting much help. Well, I'm saying they aren't getting much help. They're getting some help in the form of military aid and some humanitarian aid. That's true. But it's time for the rest of the world to make Russia feel some pain economically. That's the only way you're going to hurt it. Now, what they're doing right now is trying to figure out ways to get around the earlier sanctions that Europe imposed. I mean, they are whores for the Russian oil and gas, and they realize, oops, what'd we do? And they're trying to figure out a way to get around it. And the U.S. really isn't. I mean, the U.S. is probably providing more aid than any other country in the whole wide world. But at the same time, and I don't want to see any American troops in there. I'm tired of our troops dying on foreign soil. It's time to make Russia pay economically. And if they don't want to do it, then I guess Ukraine's going to be overrun at some point. Now, we move to France. Bastille Day has come and gone in France. However, one of the leading purveyors of doom is the fact that there is a shortage of Dijon mustard. What will the average French Joe or Jill do without their favorite condiment? Apparently, 80% of the specific mustard seeds that they use in Dijon comes from Canada. The French President Macron would be advised to avoid the phrase in the near future of "let them eat wasabi," remembering Marie Antoinette's famous remark about cake. I'm sure the French populace remembers that. I wonder if they have any more guillotines in storage or not. Okay, now we come back to the states. Roe v. Wade, the never-ending story. Now some women are choosing sterilization to avoid pregnancy. One of the women included in the story said, "I ripped my organs out." And some clinics are receiving hundreds of requests for sterilization procedures. Now stop me for a moment, but I believe that sterilization, a tubal ligation, I can't ever pronounce that, or a vasectomy, it doesn't matter what sex, you can get it done. And that has been an option for years and years, decades in fact. But some people think it's just easier, if I get pregnant, I'll just go get an abortion. And I've seen that happen. I've seen it happen for someone who was using it for birth control instead of even taking the pills. They weren't doing that. So you go figure. And if you want an abortion, then you can go to a state that allows abortions. And if you don't like living in a state that outlaws abortions, then you know the answer: move. Okay, now we switch to D.C. and the January the 6th committee hearings. They plan for a final primetime hoorah this coming week. Now, let me tell you something. Until they pay the same attention to the Floyd riots as they have paid to the D.C. riot, then, I don't care. That's right, guys. I don't care. You use the facial recognition and all the other high-tech tools that they have used to identify the January 6 rioters, and you apply it to the Floyd rioters, which they never did and they never will. Now, on a sad note, Ivana Trump apparently fell on steps at her apartment in New York and died at age 73. Her personal history is quite interesting, and she appeared to be a good foil for the Don. I saw pictures of her apartment where she lived and where she fell and died. It was, I think, a 4-story apartment, and it had steps all the way up to the 4th floor. Now, I would hope maybe she had an elevator somewhere in there, because I had seen a video of her recently walking with a friend, and the poor lady could hardly walk down the street. And so, she was only 73. The Gadfly considers that to be very young, because I'm not far behind. But we do wish condolences to the Trump family, and rest in peace, Ivana. A former long-term state senator and leader in the Louisiana Democrat Party will plead guilty to wire fraud. Apparently, this conviction will provide a quote-unquote important step in the senator's recovery from depression and an alleged gambling addiction. Why is it always an addiction when the Democrats are caught with their hands in pots that they shouldn't be in? You know, I guess it's over, or when you get caught. That must be it. You know, it's fine and dandy. You keep on gambling, you keep on passing out favors and jobs and getting kickbacks and all this wonderful stuff until they catch you. And then you say, oops, I guess I'll plead guilty because you got me. Now, what would a podcast be without monkeypox? Oh, they let them out again. Oh, well. I always enjoy the chance to use my monkey sound effect. Either it's monkeypox or the Fairfield Bay Community Club Board of Directors. Monkeypox is now a quote-unquote global health emergency by some health experts. So, what happens with monkeypox? Well, let's look at it. You get a rash, you get a fever, in very rare cases, death. Well, you know, you could pretty much say the same thing about the common cold while you're at it. Now, monkeypox appears to be concentrated in West and Central Africa, where it's already endemic, which means it's never going to go away. So, but some health experts are already stating that monkeypox is already a worldwide pandemic. A dual pandemic with both COVID and monkeys. I thought the next big distraction was extraterrestrials and UFOs, or whatever they call them these days. Now, for all of the wild women out there, oh yeah, the guys are really happy about this, I think. We'll see. This just in from the Wall Street Journal. Female armpit hair is now mainstream. The latest issue of Vogue magazine features its first non-binary model. She looks like a girl to me, Emma Corrin, with her armpit hair hanging all out on the front cover. Now, you know, I appreciate that some women prefer that. And I, you know, if that's fine with them, it's fine with me. I don't care. I just don't care to look at it that much. And I've been informed by Mrs. Gadfly that it's not going to happen in our house, which is fine with me. However, you know, locally, we might look to that group of wild women called the Yayas to see if such a trend is spreading to the hills. How about it, Yayas? Is armpit hair spreading to the hills? In Arkansas, also, nothing new in the ongoing petitions for initiative for drugs and gambling petitions. Hey guys, hey, shut up. Okay, I know you want to vote on it, but quite frankly, the marijuana amendment that they are gathering signatures, petition signatures for, leaves a lot to be desired. If you look at it real closely, it leaves out a lot of stuff that needs to be in there. What it does do is make a lot of money for people who are already making a lot of money with medical marijuana. It just expands their operating territory, so to speak. The gambling amendment in Pope County, read that, Russellville, Arkansas, they have about half as many signatures on their petitions. Whether it wins or not, really, it's not going to make a whole bunch of difference, although it would be nice to have a legal casino somewhere in north central to northwest Arkansas. There's plenty of counties, I'm sure, that would love to have it. But if Pope County doesn't have it, they have an opportunity to vote on it. And so that's how it goes with that. Of course, what would it be if the continuing story of Bays of Our Lives, or How the Bay Turns, or whatever soap opera name you so desire, and of course I'm referring to Fairfield Bay, Arkansas, which I do love. We have been building for the last couple of years what was supposed to be a liquor store to begin with, but the club did not receive a liquor store license. So it was going to be turned into a beer and wine store. And then, more than midstream, it was decided that gas tanks would be added, and that it would be a full-service convenience store, and that we're going to make just tons and tons of money on all those 2,500 cars that pass by on a daily basis on Highway 16. And now, one of the members of the club board of directors has offered, or has volunteered, to dress up like a 1950s service station grease monkey once a week at the, as we call it, the Beeramid. Assuming the project ever has gasoline tanks and pumps in this century, other suggestions have been made to include either Hooters or Chippendales attire, and hopefully it's gender appropriate for the board members. But there's also a great fear of overly excited residents driving off the backside of the mountain. Okay, whatever. Okay, now I'm going to have to leave y'all with a bit of humor. Before I do that, I want to give a shout out to some of my listeners that I know of. First one on the list, Yellow Dog. I know you're out there. I appreciate that you listen. I also appreciate that your thinking is wrong. But, you know, that's your prerogative. You know, that's great. And I appreciate that you remind me of that. And then, of course, my joke critic, Dwight, out in Commie, California. I appreciate your criticisms, and I have duly noted them, and I will see if I can find something even more corny for the next time. And also to my dear listener, Riley, thank you for listening. I appreciate that young people are listening to what some adults have to say. Of course, you're assuming that the Gadfly is an adult. But anyway, getting back to our little bit of humor for today. I know I have already touched upon addiction in this episode, but there's something to consider concerning a gadfly addiction. Yes, I have addictions just as every one of you does. No matter what it is, you have an addiction out there somewhere. And I will admit, I was addicted to the hokey pokey, but I turned myself around. Oh, some people have no sense of humor. This is the Fairfield Bay Gadfly bringing you truth from above and signing off for now.